All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Lindsay Smith. I am the food educator here for the Hanover Co-op. And today we're doing dinner again. I don't know about you, but especially on long summer days, it's often very late before I remember to eat dinner, or just the daily grind of cooking something new gets to me. And so I often seek out quick recipes or inspiration from the internet. So today, hopefully, is a little bit of inspiration. And I'm going to do a specific recipe. Well, it's kind of a back pocket one. You can modify it any way that you want to, but I'm going to be doing garlic shrimp stir fry. And we're going to talk a little bit about just some of the proper stir fry techniques. And then, of course, any recipe is a guideline and you can modify it in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to use a selection of vegetables, but you don't have to use these ones. So, but let's talk about stir fries. Stir fries are great. They're usually quick. They're a great way to use up leftovers. They're a great way to use up lots of little odds and ends in your refrigerator. They're very fast, high heat cooking. Now, I do have a wok. You do not need a wok in order to stir fry. You can do it in a skillet. You would want a nice big wide skillet, and preferably one that has some sort of sides. A wok is a great investment. They don't cost a ton. I prefer a steel carbon wok that I do have to season. I like to have a couple of different handles, and I like it to be nice and lightweight so that I can pick it up. And the reason, this is a great tool to have in your kitchen if you have the room for it. I can do stir fries. I can make soup in here. I often I'll do pasta dishes in a wok because it's a big bowl. If you look at it, it's a big bowl. And so it's really great for any kind of thing where you have to mix and you need sides. I also do deep frying in a wok. I like a carbon steel, then I can use it on my induction burners. This one has a flat bottom. I do have a round bottom wok, but then that needs a ring, and that has to be over a gas stove. So, but there's all sorts of ones out there. I just ordered a whole bunch for the CLC from the Wok Shop out in San Francisco, and I'm very excited to hold in-person wok classes. And again, they're all, I think you want about a 14 cup or 14-inch diameter is kind of what you're looking for. So, couple of other basics. When you're cooking a stir fry, you want to have a neutral high heat oil. So canola oil is a great one to cook with. This is neutral. This is high heat. Safflower, grapeseed are also neutral high heat oils. I often get asked about avocado oil, and that's an expensive oil. These are, this is like $5 for this container, maybe less. And it's really just for heat transfer. So you need something that has a really high smoke point. Okay. Save your sesame oils and your toasted sesame oils and stuff for the end, for finishing, or for the sauce, because this is for flavor. This is for actual heat transfer. Your oils have different functions in a recipe. So I get a nice toasted sesame oil, and we have a whole bunch of different ones here at the co-op. But its purpose is to give that beautiful sesame seed flavor. If you like that, remember, sesame can be an allergen. So a few other things for this recipe that I'll be using. When I cook and I make a sauce, I use just regular Kikkoman soy sauce. This is the cheap generic soy sauce, if you will. And so when I'm doing recipes, I use the Kikkoman. I have some finishing soy sauces that I'll add to my dish later. So, and I'll show you those once we get to the end. The nice thing about a stir fry and one like this is this one has a protein, it has a sauce, it has a thickening agent. Often the thickening agent that you'll now see is cornstarch. Often for or, you know, it used to be in Chinese restaurants, they used MSG. And there's big backlash on MSG, but MSG was a thickening agent to make the sauces really glistening and glossy. And to get that, you need a thickening agent. So most often we use cornstarch. So I'll be making a sauce with this. And then we've got aromatics. The main aromatic in this particular recipe is going to be garlic. I have a whole selection of vegetables. I don't have a lot of them. I mean, I'm also, this is probably going to make 3 servings at least of stir fry. And then for this particular one, I have a protein, the shrimp. I am also, to make my sauce, often we use chicken broth or water. Today I'll be using some vegetable broth because this is what I had in my refrigerator. Use what you have. Use what you have on stock. This isn't a lot of strange ingredients. I didn't have to go out and buy a lot of different things. I always keep soy sauce on hand. I keep sesame oil on hand. I usually have some sort of stock or broth or mechanism to make that. And I always have canola oil. All right, let's get started. The first thing and one of the most important things when making a stir fry is you need to do all of your mise en place, which is French. You need to do that first. So mise en place means everything in place. Get all of your prep work done. Unless you are a very good chopper and slicer, you can do stuff. But really, once you start cooking, it's a very fast cooking method. And so you should have everything done. So we're going to concentrate this first part of this lesson on just chopping some vegetables. Now, I like to chop things in different shapes, and I like to have a lot of color in my food, which is why I've picked the vegetables that I have. But again, you can use different ones. I'm going to go to my cutting board camera, okay? And we're just going to slice up some vegetables. So I have a couple of carrots here. I just washed them. I didn't peel my carrots. I'm going to take off the ends here. And what's more important is that your vegetables are of a uniformed size. Okay, so for the carrots, that means thickness. I'm cutting mine on a diagonal. It just gives me an interesting shape. That's the only reason. You can cut them however you want. But what I want to do is make sure they're just about uniformed in thickness. Okay, all of mine are about 1/4 of an inch thick here. And then I'm just going to put these off into a little dish right off onto the side here. And I'll go ahead and slice this other one. I picked the carrot. I had some hanging around in my refrigerator. And also I love the nice orange color. They're sweet. They add a little bit of sweetness. And generally, a lot of people like them. They will retain their crunch in a stir fry. So we're not cooking them till where they're super soft. All right, so I have a nice little dish of carrots here. I am also going to, again, I was thinking about color, and I love having some red in a recipe. So I bought the smallest little bell pepper that I could find. And the way I like to cut my bell peppers is I actually like to turn them over so that you get to the bottom is exposed. And I just make a little cut right down the middle, and then I pull it open. And usually what happens is that the seed ball will all stay together on one side, and then I can just pull that out. And I have very little pepper waste. And then this one is, there's a lot of wrinkly shape to it. I can kind of pull out the pith. And then when you cut peppers, you want to cut them from the inside. As you see, there's a lot of texture in the inside, and the skin is really smooth, and can be really difficult to cut through, or it's really easy for even a sharp knife to slip. So cut them from the inside. Plus you end up with a pretty natural holding. And then like if you get to this middle piece and you don't want that white pithiness, you can just kind of cut it out with the tip of your knife. And again, I don't want long strips, so I'm going to cut these into some chunks. It doesn't matter. You can do any shapes that you want. Put these in a nice little dish here. And then I'll do the same thing. I'm just gonna squeeze my knife into there. Sometimes this pith can be really spongy, that's all. It doesn't have any flavor. In hot peppers, that's where a lot of the heat is stored. In a sweet pepper like this, it's just kind of a spongy texture. So it's all a matter of sort of preference and a visual. So if you notice, I didn't spend a whole lot of time and my pepper's cut. So another nice little dish here. I'm gonna have some green onions. These are gonna be garnish. So I just need about 2 of them. This is for at the very end of my, so I won't be cooking these. They're a typical garnish. Oops, all right. I'm not gonna use my knife that I spend a lot of money on to break through this little tab. I'm gonna get my kitchen scissors. I always keep on hand. Grab a couple of those. And again, really like I want to get rid of anything that feels mushy, you know, and this top part of the green, this can get pretty fibrous. So I'll probably just slice them up to, you know, leave, not quite to the top. So I'm going to get rid of the root end. And again, I'm going to cut these also on the bias, which is about a 45-degree angle. And it just gives this beautiful shape. Just makes it feel a little fancier. And this is going to be my garnish. Sometimes you'll find recipes will have you use the white ends because there's a lot more. That's where a lot more of the onion flavor is stored. And you might want to, and then you save the green for garnish. Either way. So I'm going to save it all. If you don't like raw onion, you can easily add this to your stir fry towards the end or the beginning if you want to char them. It all kind of depends. So I have this lovely arrangement here of vegetables. I also have a little head of broccoli, and then I have some snow peas. And these I've already just gone through and pulled the strings. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. But for the broccoli, again, I'm just going to turn it upside down. And I'm just going to take the tip of my knife and I'm going to cut all of these florets right at the head. And then I'll go through, I want to make sure everything's about bite size as well as similar in size. So sometimes you get florets that are really, really large. Like here's one that's a little bit larger and maybe you cut that in half like that. But this is a really easy way. And I'm just adding broccoli. If you don't like it, don't use it. That's why recipes are guidelines. Okay. So I'm going to throw this right back into this container. This out. I'm just going to get my towel and clean off these little, usually why I save broccoli till the end. All right. The next, and I've already done most of this, is my shrimp. So here I've got peel on and the vein in shrimp. So I've got fresh shrimp, and I have deveined and peeled and deveined most of them. I saved a couple. When I am peeling and deveining shrimp, I always like to have a nice little paper towel. And usually I'll do all the peeling first and then go back and devein. And really all you do is I haven't figured out a faster way. I just kind of start with the feet, pull the shell off that way. And then I really try to like squeeze out the tail and not lose any meat down in this tail area. So make sure everything gets off. And I'll do that same thing again. I just sort of start by pulling the shell off at, the feet, from the feet towards the back, working my way down. And then I just kind of pop the tail out. And then to devein it, now deveining is a misnomer. It's not actually, we're not taking a vein out. We're taking out the digestive tract, okay? Just call it what it is. It's the digestive tract. And sometimes there is waste materials in the digestive tract, and other times there won't be any. So the digestive tract is on the back side, on the top here. There's actually a blue vein on the bottom side here. You do not need to take that out. All right, so that's why this is a misnomer. We're taking out the digestive tract, not this vein. So if you can see it, there's actually, that's fine. So I just cut down usually about 1/4 of an inch, right down the middle or a little to the side. And then I kind of split open the shrimp and I go looking for it. Sometimes you'll find waste in it, which is then makes it really easy to identify. So, and then it is just this long, so this one doesn't really have anything in it. If you can see that, there was just a little tiny bit of waste. And so that's why I have a paper towel here, is that it gets very sticky. And so, but that's all I'm looking for. And then I just leave the rest, put that in my bowl. So let's look at this one. It doesn't look like there's gonna be much in here either. Sometimes, oh yeah, there we go. There actually is, I stand. So all of that, and you can just usually pull it out. This is the one time I definitely use a paring knife, and I just pull that, and it's nice to have a paper towel or something. Sometimes the butcher paper that the shrimp are wrapped in is a great way. So to just wipe those tracks on. All right, so I can roll that up and discard that. My knife over here. No knives and sinks. All right. So for this particular recipe, I'm not marinating my shrimp. I'm just leaving them as is, and I don't need to season them, salt, pepper, anything like that. There'll be plenty of aromatics and seasoning in the sauce. So the last thing, well, not the last thing. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to chop all my garlic. So this is garlic shrimp. I looked at a couple different recipes. One had 3 cloves of garlic, one had 6 cloves of garlic. I like garlic, so I went with lots of cloves of garlic. So again, and I buy the kind that are peeled, not chopped. Once they're chopped, they start to lose their medicinal qualities and their aroma. So I don't like to buy the stuff that's chopped. I know it's a good shortcut for many people, but you really have lost a lot of the qualities. So these pre-peeled ones, because we haven't started to chop them yet, haven't lost those qualities. So I'm just going to take off the little stem end, and then I'm going to run my knife through them. It doesn't take long to chop garlic. Just going to rock my knife back and forth here. If you had a small food processor and you're doing a ton of them, you can do it that way. You make all sorts of tools. I don't use a garlic press for stir fries. They kind of smash garlic. You can if you want. Just catch everything over the bowl, a bowl. There's all that good juice that happens when you press garlic. So, this will take me just about a minute. We'll just chop it back and forth, working our way through. This is just a rock and chop. And scrape off the garlic that's stuck to the knife. And I have a huge pile here, but like I said, I like garlic. And the name of this recipe is garlic shrimp. You can always use less. I think a recipe for 4 called for about 1 pound of shrimp. I bought about 1/2 pound of shrimp. Actually, I told them to give me 12. I like to buy shrimp by the number half the time because then I know how many I have. It's one of those things, especially if I'm feeding a crowd of people, I like to, I have something like shrimp. I like to know how many shrimp everybody are getting. So if I had 4 people coming for dinner, I would want them to all have 8 shrimp or so. So I would buy like 32, 35 shrimp. I always buy a few more than I need. But that's kind of the way I approach buying shrimp versus buying 1 pound, which 21.25 shrimp, you might get 21, you might get 25. And so, that's a big difference, especially if you're trying to, I'm always trying to dole out a fair amount. But don't do the math wrong, because I've done that too. And then you have to ask people to have shrimp back. All right. So I've got this beautiful big pile of shrimp. I'm just going to pick it up. I'm going to get it in this little bowl. One thing about stir fries, and you can leave all these on your cutting board if your cutting board's big enough. I do like to put everything in little bowls. So I do have a few extra dishes. All right. So now we're going to mix together 2 different sauces. One is our flavor sauce, and it's going to start with about 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. So it's going to give some nice sweetness. And actually the garlic will go right on into here. So the garlic will be a part of this sauce. So I'm going to get all of that in there. So my aromatics. The brown sugar is also going to help make a bit of a glaze. I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And I'm just going to eyeball it. It's about 4 tablespoons. So there we go. I've got plenty of soy sauce there. And then I'm going to use about a teaspoon. I'm going to use a nice glug of sesame oil. Okay. And I'm going to mix all that together. This is my flavor sauce. It's got my aromatics in it. It has my soy in it, which is it has my salt compound, right? If you notice, in a lot of Asian cooking, we don't use table salt. And because we obviously, there's a lot of salt in soy sauces. It has multiple flavor compounds. It's got my oil, which helps to carry aromatics throughout a dish and helps to coat everything. And it's got sugar, which is going to add a little bit of a sweetness. It's also going to help make a glaze. So this feels nice and thick. It's looking good to me. Now the other is I want to make my actual glaze. So I have my teaspoon of cornstarch. And then I'm going to add in about 3/4 cup of, you can use chicken stock. I had vegetable stock in my refrigerator. Now I don't want to add it too fast. I want to make a slurry. And I'm doing it this way because if anybody's ever made gravy, you will know that if you add cornstarch to a liquid that's hot, it's just going to clump up. So I am adding in, let's see if I can't get this a little closer. So I have my cornstarch and I've added just a little bit of the liquid and I'm really whisking it together. Now I can add in a bit more. And I want about 3/4 cup or so. And I just really have to watch what the recipe's doing and that will tell me.
How much cornstarch did you say?
I started with a teaspoon of cornstarch. So usually I'll start with a teaspoon of cornstarch and then I'll mix in about a teaspoon or a little bit similar quantity of liquid to just start to break it down, and then I can add more liquid. But now I have this nice slurry. One of the things about creating sauces in the stir fries, like this is the cornstarch, your thickening agent, is just a start. You should always be prepared. You might need to add more. So it's just like making a gravy. As things cook, there's a bit of evaporation and that cornstarch stays behind. So if you end up where your sauce has gone from a nice, like thick and glistening sauce and it all of a sudden starts to look too thick and glumpy, you need just to add more liquid, right? Or if your sauce is too thin, you need to add more cornstarch. But you can never add just cornstarch to a sauce. You would have to make a slurry like this, okay? So always mix it together so where it's completely dissolved, and then you can add this into any kind of recipe. This is for stews, stir fries, gravies, like any type of sauce where you're using cornstarch. Always dissolve it off to the side and then add it, okay? All right, that is our mise en place. We have everything all ready. And so now just a couple more things and we are gonna have this stir fry done in no time. Now I like to do my stir fry over rice. So I already have some rice made. And that's another step you wanna do ahead of time. You definitely don't need to, but I like rice. So I'm gonna quickly wash my knife. It's a good idea to make sure that you're taking care of your knife. I chopped garlic on it last. And garlic likes to stick and creates a film. So take care of your knives. And now one of the things I do is I always wash my wok with a little bit of water before I start to stir fry. I'm just gonna shake out the water, but it's not completely dry. This is gonna help me let me know when the wok gets hot. So what I want to do is heat this wok before I add in the oil. And so just giving it a quick wash and just make sure it's clean because there's oil residue in these. And so they can collect dust while they sit on your shelves. So that's why I just give it a very quick wash. There was a little bit of soap in my sponge, but not a ton, not enough to ruin the seasoning. And now, and I'm gonna switch over to my my stove camera. Oops, wrong one, stove camera here. And see if I can't. So you have a nice, very close-up shot. Maybe I'll see if we can't get a little wider, but you can see all this water. So I'm gonna wait for that to evaporate. So I'm gonna put over high heat. I have a nice high heat here. And I'm just gonna let this heat up. And I'm gonna use the water evaporation as my indication. Now, while I'm waiting for that to happen, I want to add in my ingredients in the order of like hardness. Because shrimp are so delicate and cook really fast, I don't need to pre-cook them. Some people do like to pre-cook them. If I was using steak or chicken, I would cook that first. But instead, because I just have vegetables, I'm going to start with the carrots. I'll probably add the broccoli and, and then I'll add my my peppers. I'm going to kind of go in order of density. Okay. Because that's what's going to, because they keep cooking. The way the wok is formed, there's more heat at the bottom, less on the sides. But it's a great heating vessel. Oops. So now if we're back over here, you can see that all that water is evaporated. There's a bit of smoke coming off of this, which is great. I'm going to do what's called hot pot cold oil. I've got my oil here in my hand. I'm going to take the wok off. I'm going to pour about a tablespoon in so it coats the bottom. And this is where it's really nice to have this handle. I'm going to swirl this oil around. I have a little bit too much in there, but that's all right. It'll come to good use. I'm coating the sides, and now I'm going to put it back on. Now I have a bunch of oil in the bottom. My dollop was a little too much, so I want to be very careful when I add things that I don't throw it in and create a splash. Okay, I'm going to add stuff around the rim so it can slide down. All right, so you can see there's quite a bit of a pool of oil, but that's all right. So instead of just throwing my carrots into them, I might slide them down the side. And I'm going to just let these guys stir fry here for a minute. And this is where you have to resist the urge to now I've got this nice stir fry spatula. Creates a good scoop. Let things cook. Getting some nice color. And I'm going to give everything a couple of minutes on its own. So about 2 minutes. I'm going to move the carrots off to the side, just moving them around the outside a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and add in my peppers very carefully. There's a little bit too much oil. That's right. Just let all these cook.
To keep the heat high.
Yep, I'm keeping the heat high right now. I might turn it down right towards the end, but right now these really dense vegetables, they can take that high heat. Good question. All right, so you see how they're starting to cook really nicely? I'm gonna give them a good flip. Now, there is a lot of oil vaporizing here. So if you do a lot of stir frying, you're gonna have to check your stove vents if you do a lot of stir frying, because that's a lot of oil vaporizing. But I'm getting some nice color, okay? I'm gonna just make way, and I'm gonna add in my, I'm gonna do my broccoli and my snow peas together. Okay. Got all these beautiful vegetables. They're the ones, and again, you don't have to use this many vegetables. You can also just keep it shrimp. I like to add as many vegetables in as I can, and just to create a more well-balanced meal. All right. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit by judging by the amount of smoke coming off. My wok will retain heat very well. Now I'm going to add my shrimp. All right, they're only going to need about a couple of minutes. I'm going to add the shrimp in there. And then right away, I'm going to mix those around. I'm going to add in my my garlic sauce. You can see it starting to glaze here on the bottom. You see how thick that's getting? That's creating a nice glaze. That's sugar that's in them. And now, and after about a minute or two, and my shrimp are just starting to curl, so they're not overcooked yet, which is good. Now, after about a minute or two, I'm going to add in my cornstarch chicken stock slurry. I can turn my heat back up. I really want to bring this to a hard boil. This thickener will not act as a thickener until it comes to a hard boil. So just kind of tossing everything. I don't know if you heard that. The thickener will not work until it comes to a hard boil. So that's true in stews, gravies, stir fries. Cornstarch needs to get above that boiling point. But you can see it happening. I'm getting this beautiful, like glossy sauce. Kind of just coating everything. My shrimp are nice and cooked. They're not overcooked. And that's it. My stir fry is done. So how do we plate this up? I'm going to bring in a bowl here.
So less than 4 minutes with the shrimp.
Yeah, less than 4 minutes for the shrimp. They are very quick cooking. So just when, and there's also residual heat in this stir fry. So they're going to continue to cook. So I am going to, I had some rice in the oven, keeping it warm. Just gonna, I like to put a nice bed of rice down, and I'll show you all this in a minute. One second. Let me get a couple of my kitchen tools out of the way. Okay. And we'll go ahead and cut over here. So I've got a bed of rice. I'm just going to take this stir fry here and just grab a nice big bunch of it, lay it down, maybe get a few more vegetables. Actually, maybe get a few more shrimp. This is TV. This is TV. We need to make it nice and pretty. Okay. And then, you know, if you want, you've got, I like a little bit of fresh scallion on top. Again, if you want to, you can always add the scallion and char it in the stir fry. And there you go. Other potential additions, if you like to have heat, or let me actually, I'm going to bring over, a couple of products. If you like to add heat, one of my favorites is chili oil, or now we have this new Mr. Bing's Chili Crisp. These guys, so Chili Crisp, this is like crispy, crunchy chili flakes. This is just chili oil. So these are both great ways to add heat to an individual plate. If you want to add more soy flavor, instead of, you know, you can use Kikkoman, you can use your soy sauce, or I keep, these are high end. They're a little bit more expensive. These are shoyus, and this is a Japanese soy sauce. And so if you like more soy sauce or soy flavor, I've got a smoked one here. It's got a bit of a smoky flavor, and this is a regular one. It's a whiskey barrel. But I'm going to go ahead and give mine a try without any other additions and see, and then I can also see. So, and now you get to watch me try to use chopsticks. Mm. Mm. The sauce is nice. It's a bit sweet. So if you don't want it to be too sweet, use a little less sugar. You can add more soy. I might add in a little bit of my my soy sauce here. But I have good crunch to my vegetables still. I have a nice healthy dinner. And really, it took more time to chop things, and it didn't take that long to chop stuff. So, and you can really scale this recipe down for 2 people. 1 person or scale it up for more. So that's what I love about stir fries, and that the kind of the possibilities are endless. So that is what's for dinner, or dinner again, whatever I called it. I'm going to go ahead and sign or stop the recording. Thank you all. And for those who have joined me live, stick around and I'll answer your questions for you. Thank you all very much. Hope to join us at CATV on this station. We'll have a few more videos coming throughout the summer. So.